Hi guys, good day, good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing? How is the weekend going? I hope that by the time you'll be watching this, it will be like Sunday the 10th of May. I'm doing this video against all odds because I promised myself that I'm going to be showing up more, and I decided that I will be uploading a video twice a week, so Saturdays and maybe Wednesdays or Tuesdays. So here you have it. After such a very, very stressful day, please, the way you can motivate me and encourage me is by commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing. I got just one subscriber from the last video, but I know that subscribers are coming. Thank you all so much for watching my video. Thank you for your interaction with the last one. Thank you for the interest that you have in this channel. I'm so grateful, and particularly I'm very, very grateful that you learned one or two things. I am aware that there are a lot of people waiting for the second part of this video, and that's what we're doing today. There's going to be a third part, there's going to be a fourth part, and probably a fifth part, because like I said, it is a very, very lengthy discussion. It's a lot of things, like it's a lot. The wedding industry is a lot. So I decided to take it bit by bit. Last week we began by the part one of this wedding planning series on how I planned my Nigerian wedding myself without the help of a wedding planner. So in the part one, I was able to talk about the type of wedding. What's so I'm using my phone, that's what I'm looking at, just so that I can the flow can be flowing, if you know. So what type of wedding that you want to have, the number of guests, and how to source your vendors on your budget. So in addition to that, or furthermore, we will be going right into part two. So the first thing that we'll be talking about today is about how it's important to have options with vendors. I spoke about how to source vendors. See, if you that's why the issue of budget is very, very important. If you have a certain budget, it's very, very okay to work within that budget. Working outside that budget is usually unrealistic. At the end of the day, you would have gone around and around and around, and you see that these people cannot collect the money you're offering, and at the end of the day, there's no progress on that path. So if you already have a budget and you know the set of vendors that you are looking for, it's very important to have more than one vendor for each service. For instance, if you have, except for people that you are 100% sure about the delivery of their service. But if you have doubts about people, for instance, you have photographers, one photographer, and you're not very sure of the outcome of the missing, and you have somebody else that you can try, it's best. I always advise to have two or three, at least, especially if you start planning early, so you know who you're going to drop along the line and who you're going to go with. The reason is because, like I mentioned, there's a vendor for every budget. There's a vendor that can take 10,000 naira for his services, and another vendor that can take 100,000 naira for his service. But now, if we are working within the range of, let's say, between 10,000 and 90,000, there's somebody who can take 40,000, there's somebody who can take 80,000. These two people are good. But it's good to have options, because at the end of the day, sometimes most people are even booked, and if, especially if you are doubting their service, like I said, it's very, 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 very important to do what, to have options with vendors. It also gives you the opportunity to have choice. Yes, it gives you the leverage of choice, because, and that happens if you're planning your wedding early. If you're planning your wedding, let's say 2 3 months before your wedding, and you have two vendors, it gives you the choice of having options. You can decide tomorrow that I don't want to go with this person based on what I saw, the service that I saw that this person rendered, and it does not resonate with me. So if you want to use a vendor that their services resonate with you, it's important that you have at least two or three vendors per service. You want to have a vendor that does cake, you can have two people, maybe just one person for small chops and one person to handle cake, because I've discovered that giving putting the burden on one person that is especially not very capable can disappoint you. For instance, you are giving somebody cake, you are giving the same person your catering, you are giving same person your small chops. It can be a lot of work, especially if you're having a high volume wedding. So, and this person can flop it. So it's better to have like three people handling it. You can have one person doing small chops, one person doing cake, and one person cooking. That's what I did. I had a separate person for my small chops. And by the way, if you're around Abuja and you need a vendor for small chops, please patronize my cousin. He did my small chops at my wedding, and it was really, really, really awesome. His name is Chef Uriel on Instagram. Yes. So you can check him out. It's very, very good. And I had somebody else that catered for my food. She was very, very good too. And also for cake. Although for my cake, I had some reservations. I didn't exactly like it. And I'm going to talk about why in another video. There's actually there's actually like a pros and cons to paying vendors early. Especially vendors that how will I put it? That are average. What in my own case, what I think was the issue with my cake was that because I paid this person very, very early, I think that this person has spent the money. So she didn't have the money when it was time to deliver. She didn't have the money to give me the quality of what I paid for. So she just did, you know, shabbishly, just did put something together and gave it to me. I paid like 2 months before my wedding or 3 months before my wedding. So I'm very, very sure that that's what happened. She spent the money and at the end of the day, she just rugged it and just gave me something. So it's good to separate your vendors for each things. Another thing is that I want to talk about is that you define your negotiables and non-negotiables. See, except if you have bastard money that you want to spend, you have a lot of money, then that's fine. But if you know that you are strictly on a budget, you there are some things that should be negotiable for you and non-negotiable. Personally, for me, I didn't do an after party. I don't like it. I don't see the need. So it was something that I knew right from time, and thankfully my partner also thinks the same. It was not a lot. It didn't take me a lot to convince him. I don't even think I had to convince him about anything. Like we just knew that we were not doing after party. Some people, that after party is their own wedding. You see the rest that they've done throughout the day, they've done it to satisfy their parents and their family members. But that after party is where they actually have a lot of fun. Me, I knew that I wanted to have a lot of fun in my traditional reception, and I did just that. So I didn't bother to do that because first of all, it's extra expense. I know that these people are bringing like props. They're buying props. They are cooking. There's another additional food, finger food. There is you have to pay extra for venue to extend because most venues will give you a stipulated time. I think 6 7 hours. So once you start exceeding by each hour, you have a particular fee to pay. So if for you an after party is not something that you want to think about, please cut it. If you know that you cannot afford it based on your budget, cut it. There are a lot of things that you can cut. And again, for me, cake is not something. If I tell you that my wedding cake, I didn't have like more than this size, apart from the fact that it was not the quality that I was expecting, it was not all that bad. But I'm not really a fan. If I didn't have a cake on my wedding, I'll still have a good wedding. And in fact, I didn't want to do a cake. But I was like, how would you do a wedding? You not do a cake. I didn't want to do it. But because I could afford to do it, I just said, okay, let's do it. So I just decided to do it. But initially, I didn't plan to do cake. It's the same thing for what's it called? There are a lot of things like wedding. There's a lot of let me tell you, there's a lot of siren for wedding, a whole lot of siren, a lot of things that are not necessary are for wedding. So if you know that some people they will do before their wedding, they have like a special shoot. They will not pre-wedding, no. They will go wear their outfit and do a proper shoot and all that. They will extend time. They will pay for photography, pay for video. If you're on a budget, you don't need that. Get a good photographer. Do all your all your snapping and whatnot on your wedding morning and save costs because you cannot be managing money and you have like 5 photographers. You have 5 content creators. What are you using them for? Get one good content creator. I had only one content creator for my wedding and she over delivered. So as long as this person is good, that's why I'm telling you, always search for a good vendor. Have options. If you're not sure about one person, have another person. Then before the wedding, make your choice and drop the next person. Because you don't need 3 vendors covering content that day, for instance. You don't need to call 3 different people doing content. So focus on the things that matter to you. If it's your clothes that matter to you, if it's your photography, invest in that. The other one, tone it down. I didn't have a DJ for my wedding. I only had a live band. And during our first dance, we needed to play music. I already explained to my live band, see, we are playing music. I and my girls are going to dance. We have a dance performance. This is the song we want to sing. This is the song we want to sing. Please download it on your phone. Help us connect it to your speaker and play it. The people hear it. Yes. Did we dance? Yes. I didn't need to get a separate DJ. Some people were almost convincing me to. I knew I was not going to do that anyway. So nobody could convince me to do that. That oh, first get a DJ, get a live band, so that when you want to dance and enter, DJ will play. So at the end of the day, cumulatively, all the things that DJ will do will not be maybe more than 1 hour in total. And at the end of the day, I'll pay somebody outrageously to come and do that and still pay live band. It was not. It was not that thing is not giving somebody that is on a budget. People that are not on budgets call dance performance, dance troops, they call DJs, they call what's it called? Live band and all that. They can afford it. That's why I say if you are these people have this wedding, this series are for people who are on a budget and planning by themselves. So if you are not planning by yourself, please go out. And I know I've kept hammering on budget. Please don't think this is 500,000 naira that we're talking about. I'm not going to be, of course, I'm not going to be calling the figures of things I spent money on or whatnot. But in as much as you're on a budget or you're still doing things that you are suppressing some things and doing some things, weddings are expensive. I put it to you. Weddings are expensive. They are. But it is also, some are more expensive than some. The kind of wedding I did is not the type of wedding that a celebrity would do. So there's that. So that's number two. Define your negotiables and non-negotiables. Your clothes, focus on your dresses, you and your partner's dress, focus on your photography, focus on your makeup and your hair if those things are priority to you. Every other thing that is not priority, remove it. You don't need a dance troupe, you don't need 1 million bouncers. If it's just two people you can get for security, it's not even everybody that gets security. If you cannot afford to get security and you can get ushers in place, do anything that can work interchangeably. Just do it. You don't have to have everything if you cannot afford it and if you're on a budget. That's for number two. For number three, um I think number three is, I want to talk about how to use spreadsheets to track. I made mention of that, how to use a spreadsheet. And in the next part, that's in part three of this, I'm going to be focusing on events coordination. So in as much as you can plan your wedding yourself, it is very important that you also get like a coordinator on ground. It is very, very important, because the truth is, no matter how you plan things, there's somebody that needs to put those things rolling. There's somebody that needs to make those things be on motion or in motion. So because you're going to be sitting up there, you will not pay attention to who has not eaten. You will not know if any vendor has come or not come. So it is very important to do that. But I'm going to discuss that extensively, how you can also work around that and it doesn't cost you so much or even nothing to achieve that. So yes, how to use a spreadsheet. If you're using like a Google spreadsheet, for instance, I use the Google spreadsheets to plan my wedding, all my expense of my wedding, all the vendors I used, everything pertaining to cooking. I was able to track everything. I don't think there's any single naira that I spent on my wedding, of course, except for miscellaneous that 2k, yeah, they're asking for 1k, yeah, but there's nothing major that I spent that I didn't account for. So what you do is that when you get your spreadsheet, it's very stressful and very easy to use. You can learn how to use it on YouTube if you don't already know. Put the names of your vendors. So I had like 5 sheets on the document. I had one list for vendors. So I listed the vendors. For those services that I knew that needed like more than one vendor, I put a slash. For instance, photography, I had two options in the beginning while we were planning. I had two options. It was along the line I removed one. It also makes you remember, because sometimes you've forgotten these things. You are also working. There are a lot of things are also going hand in hand with your wedding planning. So I don't expect that it's only wedding that is in your head. And your wedding doesn't have to stress you. I keep saying it. It does not have to stress you. At least the planning does not have to stress you. If you've automated everything, if you've consulted everybody, you've spoken to everybody, you have contact for everything, you should be resting. You should not stress. Did I stress for my wedding? Maybe a little, but it was after I traveled and I had to be home and run some errands and do some things. But while I was planning, there was nothing that really stressed me. How do you do this? You can have a list of for vendors. And while I'm talking about the events coordination and all that, I'm still going to talk about it in a very broader spectrum. How the events coordinator can relate with all the vendors, get their contacts, speak to them, maybe create a group and all that. I'm going to talk about that in a separate. Maybe that's what is going to be the third part of this video. After this video is going to come up next. So for the first sheet, you can have like a vendors. Second one, you can have budgets for things. For instance, there's photographer, there's live band or DJ, there's ushers, there are security, hall, decoration, what else, cake, tailoring of your clothes, your wedding gown, your wedding bands, your hair, your partner's suit, everything that you will need for the wedding right there. Then start putting, so what I'll do is I'll write the name of the service, put the cost, or the vendor, put the cost, then the status. So I'll have like either in progress, completed, on hold. So I can, once I just look at the sheet, I know how far I've come. If it's in green, I know that, oh, this one is completed, this one is completed. If it's in red, for instance, it depends on how you validate is the codes that you use anyways. So this one will tell you that it's completed. So you can keep track of, okay, what is left. But because imagine that you are thinking that, oh, I have it all figured out, and you miss out on a very important thing. So that's what I do every now and then. Maybe every week I'll just go there, check, okay, for hall, this is completed, that means we've paid. For, and I also put like the contact of the person that I need to speak to. For instance, maybe the hall manager, I put the contact there. Maybe decorations person, I put the person's phone number there. I put like their contact, so that once I just go to that sheet and this is decorator, this person's name, this is his phone number, this is how much he's collecting, this is how much we've paid. If was a case of splitting the payment between two parts, okay, we've paid for, when are we paying the second half and all that. So it is director. My husband is directing this video. He's just doing like this, because he wants to cut it. So you know, you have to like put, make it, be accountable, be able to know at least to a large extent how much you spend. For the weeks or days leading to my wedding, I was able to do like a rough calculation of how much I spent. I was like, oh wow, this is how much we spent. Oh wow, this is how much. Okay, are we on track? Have we exceeded the budget? It just keeps you on the line, because you, one vendor is telling you 300K, for instance, you don't, you buy, it's actually small, it's not expensive. Put 300K times like 10 vendors. That's when you will know that, this money is not small, for instance. So, but when, once you are what's it called now? Once you've planned it, do you understand? Once you've put it on that sheet, you can easily know that, oh, at this point we need to really be pricing things. We need to really price a lot of things because we've exceeded the budget. Or at this point, okay, we can still stretch to another 1 million. We can still stretch to another 500,000, and we'll still be okay. So that is also very important. So like I said, I've spoken about three things. I spoke about making sure you have options with your vendors. Number two, defining what is important to you, your negotiables and your non-negotiables, and also using spreadsheets to track things. Spreadsheets will make your life easier. It will make your life better. There's nothing that I am doing that is not on spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet for almost everything. How I run my house, how I make sure that subscriptions are running for my all the bills that I use. Oh, this is Showmax, this is Netflix, this is this one. So everything are on the sheets. I know when the money is going to, when I'm going to take out the money, I know the accounts that I'm going to take it out from. So that tomorrow I don't get one debit and like, who did this? So it's very important, especially when you are planning weddings. See, let me tell you, wedding planning is actually planning. Like I said, for you to have a beautiful wedding, you don't really exactly need to be a professional. The truth is that professionals are professionals. That's why they're professionals. But you can still plan it. That's why it's called planning. The earlier the better. Start planning, get to work, plan it, make sure that you know everybody who is responsible for what. And I bet you will be able to like execute it successfully. So I hope that I've been able to help so far. I'm going to have to stop here because I don't want this video to be very, very long. And then we'll take the next video maybe during the week. The next video is going to drop, the third video. So this is part 2 of how to plan your wedding. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched up until this point, I give you a very, very big thumbs up. Thank you. Please comment, don't forget, share, like, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.